As we begin our introduction for this evening, I have to tell you, it's been a tradition for 50 plus years to have Dr. W. Robert Morrison greet fabulous concerts such as these with the Tower Carillon. And I'm so grateful as music director of this church that he is willing to do it over and over and over again, because it's not a concert in Stark County without Bob Morrison on the Carillon. So will you join me in thanking him once again? Before we begin this evening, Pastor Mark Creamer would like to say a couple of words.
Greetings, and I'd like to welcome you all to St. Paul's and this concert this evening. We've had such wonderful concerts throughout this entire spring, and I'm so grateful that all of you are coming and enjoying this wonderful music. By now, almost everyone has heard of the shootings in both Buffalo and Uvalde, Texas, and I would ask us this evening to just have a moment of silence to remember those victims, and we'll follow with a prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, we mourn with the families of Buffalo, New York, and Uvalde, Texas. We pray for the first responders who were injured in these shootings. We ask you to grant your love and your peace and your comfort to all who are mourning this day. We ask you to grant all of our school children everywhere your peace and your comfort as they finish the school year, looking over their shoulders, wondering if their school is next. And so we cry out this evening to our elected leaders to finally lay aside the political interests and come together to solve the plague of gun violence in this country. We ask this in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you to Pastor Mark. This will not be the first time this evening that we will pay tribute to all of those who are suffering due to the things going on in our world. And I want to thank Pastor Mark for leading us in a moment of silence and prayer, which indeed is very important. I began the last couple of concerts, due to the situation that we find ourselves in Ukraine, not that we, but that those wonderful people find ourselves in, with a quote. Leonard Bernstein said, "This will be our response to violence, to make music more intensely, more beautifully, more devotedly than ever before." So among all of the other things that we can do, in addition to praying, let us remember that. And I have to say that as I look out this evening, in addition to the great music that we share together, one of the biggest joys that I experience is seeing this community of people. First, to our visitors, to any visitors to St. Paul's, I'd like to say welcome to your church. This is your church, your building, your family. And we hope that you'll come back for future concerts, as well as consider joining us on Sunday morning. This is a wonderful place to be. We love music, and we love sharing meaningful fellowship with God at the center of all that we do. So welcome. To the American Guild of Organists, Canton chapter, who graciously co-sponsored this event, welcome to you. And just so that you may be recognized, so that we may thank you for making this possible, would any member of the Canton AGO please stand? I would also like to welcome our members, our staff, people who have made this event possible, and so many of this wonderful offerings that we experience possible. Thank you for all you do, and thank you so much for being here. If you will take a look at your bulletin, there are two things that I'd like to point out. The first thing is a small piece of paper like this. It's a communication card. This is the last concert of this season, but I am preparing a full series of wonderful events next year. And if you'd like to be kept in the loop via mail or email, please fill this out and either give this to myself or Pastor Mark, or put it in the offering plate when that time comes. This information will only be used for concert purposes, and I promise to let you know of things as they are coming up. The second insert is on this bigger sheet of paper. It has the specs of this organ with all the sounds that you're hearing. So feel free to use that as we go through this concert. On the other side, I decided that it would be nice to briefly advertise some of the things that we have going on next season for our 2022-2023 Cathedral Concert Series. This is not finalized, and you'll notice some TBA times, and you'll also notice a couple of missing months. We're still working with wonderful artists throughout the summer, but this will be finalized certainly by the end of the summer. Restrooms. There are two places you can access restrooms. The first place is by going out the side door from which many of you entered. You'll find one just there to the right. The other place you can access restrooms are going to the back of the church, going down the stairs to the basement of this building, and you'll find two restrooms there. COVID-19 is still among us, and the church follows the CDC guidelines, so masking is recommended for anybody who feels comfortable to do so, but not required. In the middle of this concert, we will have a time of free will offering. It's our mission here to make sure that all of these concerts stay absolutely free. We will never charge a ticket price, so that all who want to enjoy may do so. This is possible because of generous donations now and at other times, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But if you feel led, we appreciate your support in advance. Hector Olivera is no stranger to Stark County, to the Canton area, and especially to St. Paul's Evangelical Lutheran Church. He's a passionate, gifted, and unique musician who is a virtuoso, an expert at improvisation, and a master of coloring the organ. At age 12, Mr. Olivera entered the University of Buenos Aires, where he studied and then eventually came to the United States to study at the Juilliard School. He's performed at prestigious venues, including the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, Grace Cathedral in San Francisco, Carnegie Hall, among others. Solo recitals are not where his experience is limited. He has performed with orchestras. You can see them listed in the bulletin all over the world. We are very excited to welcome him back here to St. Paul's because many years ago he did several concerts, both here at the church and in the community, I understand, for various benefits, and he also collaborated with high school students in this place, a memory that many of them that I speak to have cherished for their whole life. So I'm honored to welcome you to St. Paul's. Please let us know if you need anything throughout the concert or afterwards. And I'm even more excited at this time to introduce Maestro Hector Olivera. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, it's so nice to be with all of you here. That reminds me always of my wife that says, do not say it's so nice to be in here, just to be here. And I never forget that because she says so, just in case. Some of you who probably remember her, she's still the Terminator. So, don't call her and say what I say. I think Tom and many of you, if not probably all of you, will be very proud and very happy that I'm here and to know that despite he is pulling the strings from the top, these concerts are still happening, and then I am in here playing this concert. So I'm not going to stretch this. Just let you know that from time to time, I definitely will be thinking of Tom. Move on. The first piece that I played, of course, everybody knows, is Spill of Jesus. We are here, followed by Fiat Lux, which translated means let there be light. Lately, I have changed the name Fiat because it's kind of old, and I'm really using Tesla Lux. That's a joke that only 3 people got. The rest of you are not listening or are not willing to laugh. We're going to change that during this program. By the time that I finish this concert, they're going to be rolling on the aisle laughing. All right. During the pandemic, which I know was very sad because many people passed all over the world, for me it was 18 months of no concerts. So what am I going to do? Well, to be very honest with you, I was very happy at home developing things that I wanted to do, things on my bucket list that I wanted to do and never had the time. And one of those was to transcribe pieces for the organ. And so I started doing a lot of things, and one of those you are going to hear right now. The first thing I'm going to do is play 2 concertos, actually only 1 1/3. Because I'm playing 1 concerto full and the second concerto only the ending movement. Otherwise, we stay here all night. This is the 4 seasons of Vivaldi. I have to do this because I want you to get the benefit of everything that I am doing in here. So this concerto is going to begin with spring. He's going to be very happy, Vivaldi and all of you, for following this concerto. It's going to be something that you need to understand so that you are happy and follow Vivaldi. Everybody knows that. Interesting part, as he moves along, he wants to imitate the birds. And you are going to hear this. Continues, and there is some sort of a storm develop in the horizon. And you'll hear that. It's going to develop much later. That's the first movement. Birds appear again, birds go away. Second movement. And the second movement, 3 things are painted. First one is the little, I keep calling them weeds, but you know what I mean? They are very tall and they gently move with the wind. You know what I mean? It represented in here. The shepherd is on the oboe. And in the pedals is a persistent dog. and he keeps barking on the distance. This finish, the third movement comes in, and in the third movement, it says that the people are dancing to the music of rusted bagpipes. Obviously, right? This goes on and on and on and on. It ends very quiet, and then the weather will change in here as we go to summer and the famous storm. And I am going to do lightnings from time to time, spitting fire from those pipes in there. I think you'll hear then. Are we ready? Thank you. Well, by the way, when I do this in an island, at the ending of others, the thunder is there. So I play, and everybody jumps. Robert Elmore, you know me, I always give two explanations, the technical explanation and the my explanation. The technical explanation is then Robert Elmore, organist who was the founder of the organ department at the Eastman School of Music. And we are going to hear a piece that he actually dedicated to Virgil Fox, in hopes that Virgil someday was going to record it. He never did, but I did. So in the intermission, feel free to look at the new CD that I have. It's called From Vivaldi to Vierne, and you are going to find the Vivaldi Four Seasons, well, just the excerpts that I play right now. It was recorded at the Christ Cathedral, which is the old Crystal Cathedral, but I don't want to misrepresent. It's not the pipe organ, but it's a huge 4-manual organ that was installed by Walker. So take a look of that CD. Back to the song. Actually, it's called Night Song. And I want to give you a very quick explanation of my views of this piece. This is BP, before the pandemic. It was actually the 75th anniversary, and I wanted to go so badly to Normandy, and I actually did. It's a very touching thing if you've never been in there. I'm not going to go into details, or I will start crying right here. But to be standing, actually I kneel at Omaha Beach is just a feeling that you will never forget. If you can do it, do it. At the ending of those 3 days, my wife wanted to take me to a little town, 400 and something population. It was called Villans. Her father grew up in there. And many years later, she will go with her mother to spend a little short vacation. Are you following me so far? Yes? If you move the head or say yes, then I know you were with me. Otherwise, yes? Yes. Okay. They don't have to yell. Just move or say yes. That's it. Thank you very much. And so we were walking in there, and there was a time in there where she actually says, you know, I'm embarrassed, but I have to tell you something. He says, you see the house in there? And it had stairs going this way and stairs going this way and a landing. Of course, that's where the door is. And she says, I got my first kiss at the age of 13. It really warmed me very much, and to think that she was pointing at that moment, and this is what created my entire vision of this piece that I'm going to play for you, which is called Night Song. Very simple. It starts with the theme of the boy. The boy is getting ready to get a date. There is a little bit of a hesitation, but anticipation of what's going to happen. As I turn the page, you will very clearly hear when they met and they start talking. And I think they probably were talking about what are you going to do when you grow up, what am I going to do, and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So it's very clearly a dialogue with the oboe and the flutes, and then the strings come in and so forth. And finally, all talking stops, and the music just builds. You have to use your imagination. And then it quiets down, and it goes back again to the beginning as the boy says goodnight and goes back to his home. Enjoy it. Night Song by Robert Elmore. Do you follow it? The next piece, I am not going to explain anything because you know it. Tom used to say to me, when you come to Canton and you're playing a classical organ, you just have to play this piece. He's not here, but I think he's going to get to hear it. Many, many, many years ago, I had the privilege of listening to Mark Theus coming to Florida, and he played this piece for me. I didn't play it at that time, and I'm not too sure I still do, but I didn't play it at that time, and all I say is, holy cripes, that is very complicated, the left hand. And I just kept mesmerizing. And when he finished, he said, what do you think? And I said, oh, fantastic, fantastic. What am I going to say? And I didn't even know the piece. I knew the piece, I just didn't play it. So enjoy it right now. After this, we are going to have a intermission. Again, I go back there, right? And I just stay in there until you come and get me. Carry on the Westminster by Olivera.
There we go. We've come to the time of intermission now, but first, just would like to ask that it go this way. The ushers will come forward in just a moment with the offering plates, and then when the offering plates pass you, please feel free to get up, stretch, go to the restroom. If I could just say one thing briefly about our free will offering. We thank you in advance for your generosity. Again, all of our concerts here will always be free, but it's also our commitment to bring some of the very best to this area because this musical community deserves it. So your generosity is very much appreciated. To anybody here who's a member of the church or otherwise who might be interested in providing a general sponsorship for this series or a sponsorship for a specific concert in the coming year, please don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to talk to you and perhaps do so in honor or memory of a loved one. Your generosity is what makes this happen. I'm going to invite Pastor Mark to come up in just a moment because he'd like to say one more thing. But while we're doing this, I would like to take a moment to remind you that the CDs are in the back during intermission. They'll also be available after the concert. I'd like to thank all of the staff members who are here for St. Paul's who have made this happen, and also our worship and music members who are here this evening. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to invite the ushers to come forward while Pastor Mark makes a brief announcement. And then we'll take about 10 minutes. We'll cue you with the lights. I'll say a couple more brief things and we'll get on to part 2 here. Pastor Mark.
One of my many hats here at St. Paul's and in the community this coming year is to serve as the president of the Massillon Area Clergy Association. And I just wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't recognize a very good friend of St. Paul's. Also, believe it or not, he actually got to preach here, and it's Father Gretschko, if you'd stand up for a second. He is retiring this year after many, many years at St. Mary's. He was very instrumental in helping me decide to answer the call here to St. Paul's. I'm not sure how the diocese would feel about you arranging Lutheran pastors, but again, he's been a great friend to St. Paul's and to this whole community. He's not only the pastor of St. Paul's, but he served as the chaplain for our Massillon Tiger football team over many years. And again, I hope that you will just, again, give him another round of applause just in appreciation for his many years in ministry.
As soon as the plates pass you, we'll take a 10-minute intermission. Thank you.
Actually, she became a Christian in college, so she didn't start off as a Lutheran.
She did not start as a little.
No. Well, she started off as a Lutheran, but she's Christian when Catholic as a baby. And then really then got to church and then college. She had questions with parents, questions, and walked into a Lutheran ministry in Florida.
Gainesville. Yeah.
Are you going to talk about Harry?
Again, good evening, and I know we want to get back to the concert, but I did learn one additional thing about Father Grechko this evening that I did not know, and he just shared with me today is actually the 50th anniversary of his ordination. So again, thank you.
Following the concert this evening, the church is hosting a reception with tons of food and drinks for everybody. We invite you to go to the next building over after the concert is over. We're going to make sure that we get Hector out so that anybody who wants to speak to him can do so over in the other building. And I'll mention it again at the end of the concert, but since there'll be many people, I'm sure, who'd like to greet him and thank him for this concert this evening, I'll ask that you say what you'd like to say, keep it moving, and enjoy a cookie or two or more. So I hope that you will join us next door, perhaps after socializing a bit in here. The only other thing that I'd like to say, you've heard Hector talk about, use the name Tom over and over again. Tom refers to Tom White, who was many things. He was his manager for many years. Many of you in Massillon will know him as Massillon's Santa Claus. And to a lot of us in here, he was just one of the most giving, selfless, wonderful people you might ever have the opportunity to meet, always working to facilitate concerts like this. And I'm just so grateful that so many of his friends are here, including selling CDs in the back. His legacy lives on through all that we're doing. And I can't help but notice that occasionally we get a little flash from the light bulbs here, which has never happened. So certainly Tom, who was Hector's biggest fan, would be here this evening. So I thought that you might appreciate an opportunity to have some clarification on that. All right, without further ado, we're going to continue with the second half of the concert. Hope you enjoy.
Oh, is this? Yeah, it is on. Usually I introduce him at the first half. I didn't, so he already looked at me and gave me the wink. What's wrong with you? And so I'm going to introduce him. And most of you, if not all of you, know Harry. His first name, middle name is Helmut. Harry Helmut, and you all know he is a Lutheran, so he's at home in here. He's very, very, very happy. He has the Luther cross and the Luther rose that he has been wearing for the last 22 years. He is 22 years old, but sometimes he's 6, 7, and sometimes he's 26. He changes. It's so nice to think of seeing not just Mark, but Chad Pittman, and sitting right next to Chad, Dr. Morrison. And I think it's because the last time I've been with all of you, the three of you together, is when I played a concert for the 90th celebration of the Dr. Morrison. And I heard that night, actually, Mr. Pittman and Mr. Thoots playing together some incredible, crazy piece for pedals. I don't even know how they did it, but even though I really haven't heard you in a concert, complete concert, I can say I heard him. Okay, let's move on to the program. This is another transcription done by Virgil. Virgil Fox had actually a very good friend by the name of Bobby Hebel. And actually, even though it always says transcription by virtual fax, actually you need to read between the lines, and the transcription was really done by Bobby Hebo with pointings by virtual. No, you must do that. And so I further re-edit the piece. It's called Ye Sweet Retreat. Is written by William Boyce, for all of those people who say I don't play enough English pieces. Okay, here it goes, an English piece. Obviously, it was my encounter with Virgil through an LP that my father bought for me at the age of 16, about 2-3 years before 17, 2 years before exactly coming to the United States of America. I showed it to my teacher, and my teacher said, well, he does this and he does that, and I don't pay attention to that, don't listen to that. And the minute that my teacher said that to me, I knew Visual Facts must be very good. You understand, right? So this was in that famous CD, and I always enjoy so much playing it, especially if the instrument has this sound in here. Let me see if I can find the right sounds in here. Yes, I did. Virgil often had a tendency to finish it with a crescendo pedal all the way to the max, because usually he played that in concerts as an encore. I heard Fernando Germani, if any of you know who Fernando Germani is, playing it that way with all the flutes and ending very soft. And that's the way that I prefer myself right now to do it. And at the very ending, I was trying to come up with a Glockenspiel, and this organ doesn't have. So I thought the 2 foot was close enough. All right, thank you very much. I mentioned to you that during the pandemic, I kept very busy doing things, and the transcription of the 4 seasons, all 52 minutes of it, all 4 movements. I went to the internet and found out that there are other transcriptions. Of course, I still decided to do mine. And I started looking for something, and I did not find it in the internet, except for a few poor versions. And I thought, you have to be Argentinian to play tangos. And I am Argentinian. And one of my idols from Argentina is Astor Piazzolla. Some of you may know. The ones who do not know, you're missing a lot. I always make the joke, you're not missing anything, let's keep going. No, you're missing a lot. Astor Piazzolla did for the tango pretty much what Chopin did for the waltzes. And almost they follow parallelism because Chopin wrote these fantastic waltzes for the piano. But you don't see people dancing. They were meant to be listened, not to be danced. Are you with me so far? Most of the life of Piazzolla, especially the last 10 years, people really fought very much with him. The reason that they fought very much is because he was writing tangos to be heard, not to be danced. And the Argentinians wanted to dance, and they couldn't. His music was totally different and was not tempo, any retard dance and accelerate and retard. So it's very difficult to dance unless you would have somebody maybe from the Bolshoi ballet and do something like that. But it is not the kind of thing that you're going to dance. So during the pandemic, again, I kept busy and transcribed 15 tangos of Piazzolla. And I am going to tell you something because I think it's funny. I wrote to the publisher in Argentina, and they didn't even answer my email. I wrote to Paris. Sorry, we cannot help you. So I found a company, Coda. I don't know if you know. No. They have a lot of music in like PDF format. You can actually look it up and you put it on your iPad, on your computer. There is only one catch. You cannot buy it, and you cannot print it. So I wrote to them, and I told them, and I says, I really want this, and if you would help me, I will help you in turn. I'm willing to pay a decent price for me to have the PDF file so that I can copy. They say, no, sorry. It's only for you to read. And I was very down for about 2-3 weeks. And I thought, how am I going to do this? Because I wanted to see the original scores by Piazzolla. You follow me? It's in a quintet. It starts with the violin, the bandoneon, the piano, an electric guitar, and the bass. So I thought and thought and thought and thought and thought and thought. Since I have a 86-inch TV, I put the music in there. I went back and took 320 pictures of it. I know it's something that you don't supposed to do, but trust me, and God knows, and I went every single way to be honest with them. So from now on, don't tell anybody that I told you so, but if you go to the internet and you cannot download the page, take your iPhone, take a picture. Thank you very much. That's very naughty for me to say, but you're going to hear 2 of those tangos out of the ones that I transcribed. The first one is very sad, actually. It is called Adios Nonino, which is half Italian, half Argentinian for bye-bye grandfather. When Piazzolla's father died, he supposed to have written this in one night. Princess Maxima, which is Argentinian, married to the prince in the Netherlands. When they got married, they actually had this tango played at their ceremony. So that's the first one. It's called Adios Nonino. The other one is going to be called Libertango. I don't know if you know it, but unless you've been living in a cave, which I doubt it, you heard this music, trust me. You don't know it by name, but you heard it. So here we go. That Liber Tango was the first tango that he actually wrote to break the mold of the typical tango where you dance and so forth. Pay attention to the very beginning. We don't have a bandoneon in here. I'm going to take this book out in here and put it in here temporarily. And I know many of you are very far away and will not be able to see, but there is a picture of Piazzolla playing the bandoneon. He pulls out very much in his very square box with push buttons. I don't know if you want to see it later, come and see me and so forth. We don't have a bandoneon in here, and I always try to get that sound in an organ. It's always a challenge. And most times I succeed, sometimes I don't. Today is 50-50. So when you hear the introduction of this tango, just think that that's what I'm trying to imitate, the bandoneon, which has kind of an accordion sound. It's getting too long, the explanation. Come to my master classes in Sarasota and I'll explain the rest. inside. I want to hear, and not for me, for Astor Piazzolla. Thank you for your kindness. Get loose and make some noise for me. Thank you. Woohoo! It's not for me that I'm asking. I'm asking for Astor Piazzolla. There is so many details on there and I don't want to talk. Of course, that is not translated note by note the way he wrote it. There is a lot of improvisations and the middle, the fugue and so forth. Piazzolla didn't write that. That's Hector. So I put more than my 2 cents into this piece to portray what Piazzolla really wanted to, the free, like jazz, where you improvise and you do that stuff. So I was just thinking as I was playing, the old days with, I don't know if Lauren Weigel is here. He's, Dr. Weigel. I always call him doctor. He said, don't call me doctor. But I remember the Roland Atelier sitting in here and the entire choir sitting in here and these risers. And I never really got to play the piporium because the piporium was always pushed. I think at one time I did crown him with many crowns or something like that, just for all the kids. But there is so many memories of those days. So it's so nice to see your face in here. Thank you very much for being in here. Washington High School, am I saying that right thing? Washington, you two are from Washington High School, yes. Woo! This is going to be the ending of the program. And Dr. Pittman, if I call him Dr. Weigel, I have to call you Dr. Pittman. So you're just being elevated. You're supposed to have something for me, a theme, and we'll do an improvisation of that. And I think you want to say a few words while I prepare some stuff in there.
All right, so he said this correctly. Improvisation. He ends almost all of his concerts like this, requesting that somebody either write or find a theme, and then he will completely make something up for us on the spot. So very excited to hear what he's about to do. He mentioned that perhaps something from the hymnal might be nice, so I thought very carefully about this, turned through the hymnal, and found Finlandia, also known as Be Still My Soul. The story behind this piece is that Sibelius wrote this during a time that was very similar to the time that we're living in right now, in a region where the violence is happening right now, Finland. And Sibelius wrote this during a time of war. And the Be Still My Soul theme is the chorale that happens in the middle of the piece. If you get a chance to listen to this whole work on YouTube, the internet CD, you'll hear masterful depictions of war, yearning for peace, and just incredible patriotic spirit. Eventually, this became the national anthem of Finland, and later, words were added to it. And unfortunately, I would love to be able to point you to our hymnal for this, but our Lutheran hymnal does not have it. The words are, "Be still, my soul." Well, the tune is in there, but not the words. So, "Be still, my soul, the Lord is on thy side. Bear patiently the cross of grief or pain. Leave to thy God to order and provide. In every change he faithful will remain. Be still, my soul, thy best, thy heavenly friend, through thorny ways leads to a joyful end." So this is the only thing that I could pick, given the times that we're in, and I cannot wait to hear what our maestro does with this. Improvisation on the melody, the chorale melody of Finlandia. been a joy to share this evening with all of you. Please feel free to greet the artists next door, socialize here, but realize there are a lot of folks who may want to speak with him. So special thanks again to the Canton AGO for co-sponsoring this event, and we hope that you're not going to be a stranger. Thank you. Thank you.